الآن أود أن أرحب بالأستاذ خالد المبكي who will be the moderator for the panel discussion. الأستاذ خالد طبعا أود التنويه إلى أنه حيكون في عندنا أجهزة ترجمة فورية. البانل ديسكشنز أغلبها راح تكون بالإنجليش، فموجود في ترجمة فورية إذا تحتاجوا موجود الأجهزة. راح أعطي نبدأ عن الأستاذ خالد المبكي. Mr. Khalid, he's the advisor of Human Capital Strategy, Transformation and Change Management in Saudi Arabia. His major and main interest is creating law for better working environment and attract and retain national workforce within the retail industry. And he's in terms of formulating and roll out the Saudi automotives with 5 years nationalization and Saudization program and plan for sustained work environment and retain the national workforce. Mr. Khalid is award winner for the certification of ISA Best HR Leader Award. Please join me welcoming Mr. Khalid Al-Mubki.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning to everyone. It is my pleasure to be here today in this important event where we try to link our professionalism with our country's vision for 2030. Today I will have professional panelists introducing some of the ideals that we hope to create better knowledge in the coming years to support our economy growth with certified Saudi workers. I would like to introduce today our first panelist, Mr. Abdullah Osaimi, if he could join me. Abdullah Osaimi is an engineer that is currently a general manager for global projects in SABIC. He's been there for about 15 years. He holds a BS in electronic engineering from King Fahd University. Also, I'd like to request our second panelist, Engineer Haytham Al-Ohali, if I would like him to also join us. Mr. Haytham is the managing director in Cisco, Saudi Arabia. Cisco has been famous previously with a selection of a recent minister. So hopefully Haytham would be one of them one day. Also, I would like to request Sultan Jorais to participate. Within this panel, we hope to answer a couple of questions, actually, with their professional knowledge on how can KSA create the next generation of proficiency qualified workforce that support our economic plans, and how to effectively build a sustainable partnership with certification and training providers, how to create a successful national level plan associated with Saudi Arabia's 2030 vision, and how can Saudi Arabia ensure a border access to training opportunities for professionals within the coming years. So hopefully, with your permission, we'd like to start our discussions.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everybody. I want to start with a statement. The statement is that the world is changing, and the change is not the problem. The rate of the change is the problem. 10 years ago, 2006, the list of the biggest companies in the world is totally different than 2016. Exxon was the best and the biggest company in the world in 2006. Now Apple and Microsoft and Amazon, Uber. World is changing so fast in front of our eyes, and we need to adapt to that change. We are part of the economy, of the world economy, and we are impacted by any changes happened outside Saudi Arabia. In order for us to compete and reach to prosperity for the after oil economy or era, we need really to adapt to that change, and the rate of the change is more challenging for us, and it's an opportunity. And I want to start to reflect that change on what is the current situation in Saudi Arabia. We have more than 50% less than 30 years old in the population of Saudi Arabia. We have 360,000 high school graduates every year. That's a big challenge. But at the same time, a huge opportunity to have a capital, the most important capital in any country, which is human capital. We need to focus on it to prepare ourselves for the next stage and to prepare ourselves for that rate of change. And reflecting on SABIC, for example, we have changed dramatically in the past few years. And there is a lot of information not known about SABIC, and I'll just give you some numbers here. We are a global company. We are not Saudi owned, but a global company. We have existence in 50 countries, not only Saudi Arabia. We have 64 plants and sites around the world. 22 of them are in Saudi Arabia, the rest is outside Saudi Arabia. So we are competing at a global level. SABIC has started 40 years ago with a small vision, an ambitious target. And we started with a capacity of few million tons of production. In the past few years, if I give you some numbers here, in 1985, SABIC production was 6 million tons. In 2000, we reached to 28 million tons of production around the world. 2005, from 28 million to 47 million, almost double. In 2010, right now, and 2016, we are reaching 72. So we started in 1885 from 6 million tons to 72 million tons. Major growth, not only from production perspective, but also from manpower and challenges perspective, especially in the petrochemical industry. That growth came with it an opportunity and a challenge to bring the workforce up to the level of international competency. We are competing at an international level. We are not anymore competing with ourselves or our neighbors. We are competing at an international level. We are ranked the 4th biggest petrochemical company in the world. Number 114 biggest public company in the world from revenue perspective. And that level requires a lot of work in the human resources and human growth and capability to compete at an international level. And me coming from procurement, that also created a big challenge for us. One of our major transformation was in 2010 when we became a global function. So what I mean by that, we have centralized all the procurement functions, for example, around SABIC, all the 50 countries that we are operating in, into centralized global function and procurement. We call it One SABIC. It's a big project in 2010, and that resulted into a major challenge. We had, in 2010, we had only 50% of our workforce less than 5 years experience. That is a big challenge for a company that is having a very ambitious growth target. So when we looked at the current situation that we had that time, And taking into consideration that, unfortunately, universities does not give us the right level of expertise into, especially in the procurement sector, we started to look out how can we compete into an international level, and how can we become a global competitive company with a global standard. And the best solution was not to look at the training method that we had before, which is unfortunately was ad hoc base, but link ourselves with the best practices, best tools. And the best way to get that was through certification programs. So we started to change our strategy for people development within the organization to focus on internationally recognized certification programs that make sure that our guys are competing in international level and a global level. We have joined partnership with CERTX organization, Charter of Institute of Purchasing and Supply. We also, ISM, PMI, we have participated also with the Association of Supply Chain. And we have trained during that time, since that time, more than 500, almost 600 employees for the certification. 50% of them are recognized right now, and they are certified in different degrees, recognized around the world as best practices. And by linking ourselves with these certification institutes, we have access to the best practices that they provide. All these institutes are usually non-profit oriented and non-profit organization. They provide the best practices, so we have access to it. We have access to the tools. We have insurance to our quality of output of our people, because each certificate require a lot of testing and assurance that the right level is being reached. And we have linked these certification programs with our competencies program and the career path program. Every single employee who's graduated from university and joining SABIC as a fresh, he starts immediately for a year and a half participating in a CERTX program that ensure that by the end of a year and a half, he is fully graduated from that program, and he is certified to become a professional procurement person within our organization. And he can compete globally with anybody in the world. And that's the level that helps us to grow and prosper. And the SABIC is just an example for the challenge. And I'm sure that all other functions and let's say companies in Saudi Arabia, they have the same challenge to compete globally. And we see this as the best way that we can really push forward to a competitive edge in the economy, the new economy, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Abdullah.
Let me start at the very first point that Mr. Abdullah talked about, which was the rate of change around the world and around the global economies. Our former CEO was very famous of saying that 60% of the companies will not exist in a meaningful way 20 years from now. And I think some of the examples that Mr. Abdullah gave touched that point exactly. Companies like Exxon no longer exist as one of the top companies in the world. And this has been proven throughout history. If we look back at the agricultural age, when machinery was first introduced, a lot of people thought this will eliminate jobs for farmers, and human capital will no longer be needed in the agriculture field. And that held true, but it opened up a lot of other jobs as urbanization started, and other type of jobs and skills were needed and created. The same was true when the assembly line was introduced in the 1900s. A lot of the labor requirements in the factories have disappeared, but this also created new demand and new jobs in science and technology. The internet age has come, and a lot of other companies have been challenged. And we saw the rise of companies like Microsoft, Google, Airbnb, what have you. So each revolution came with eliminating certain jobs and certain skills and opening the door for new ones. And I think as we currently live the digitization era, the digital revolution, the same will hold true. While many fear that these type of technologies will eliminate jobs like normal admin jobs and other functions that will be challenged by automation and by analytics, this actually creates a new platform, a new wave of skills that is going to be needed in the world. A very simple example, something that we all lived through the last few days, is the cybersecurity attacks that were happening around the globe. The most conservative study in Saudi Arabia estimates the lack of cybersecurity specialists at 10,000. And that's a very, very conservative approach. On a global level, that number is estimated north of 10 million professionals. So the type of challenges, the type of opportunities, the type of platforms that are now available on a global level are creating a very high demand to a new set of skills that was not needed and did not exist maybe 5 or 10 years ago. And I think part of what needs to be done in the kingdom is to kind of look ahead of the curve, anticipate what are the skills that are going to be needed for today, but also for the next 5 or 10 years, as part of the vision that the country is trying to formulate. When we started the Network Academy, Cisco's Network Academy back in 2004, there was an incredible shortage in the number of networking professionals in the kingdom. Since then, 70,000 students graduated that program, and we think that void has been bridged in a very good manner. However, a lot of voids are being created right now. I mentioned the example of cybersecurity. IoT is up-and-coming platform that is creating a lot of opportunity, and a lot of companies are coming around IoT. However, the skill set is just not there in the market. I would love to see us to be more proactive rather than reactive in the amount of skills that are needed to bridge some of the labor gaps available in the kingdom. One other thing is that I think also professional certification plays a big role on is career shifts. We do a decent job in promoting professional certifications to early in career and recent graduates, and to academics as well. However, we don't do a similarly good job in making or addressing an audience that are more of a mid-career. People that have been doing the same job for 5 and 10 years and would like to do a shift in their career, whether that's in IT, in human resources, in project management, what have you. Professional certification plays a big role in helping people go from jobs that they consider now as mundane or they're bored of doing, or just simply opening a new career opportunity for them, a better quality of life. And professional certifications, instead of going through a 3 or 4 year program in the university, allows you to bridge that gap in a much faster way, and for sure helps address some of the skill set shortage in the markets. Between changing the current labor force and the skill sets that they currently have, and between equipping the youth, the early in career with the required skill sets for the jobs of tomorrow that are being created as we speak. I mentioned IoT, for example. IoT is going to create a lot of jobs around, it's going to eliminate some of the jobs around automation, around administrative work and what have you. For example, one of the projects that are currently being talked about and available in the market is smart metering for the Saudi Electric Company, whereas we don't need a person to go to each home and take the reading of the electricity consumption of every household. This can be done in an automated digital way. This will eliminate the job of that person that needs to go and check the utilization in every household. However, it's going to open a lot of new doors around data analytics, data scientists, and some of the trends that now can be measured and acted upon It will allow better use of the electric grid, what have you. And I just mentioned this quick example, but the examples in multiple fields and discipline are enormous, whether it's in healthcare, education, what have you. If there are anybody that are close to our youth, I think we should urge them to start looking at the newer certifications that are coming up. We should be starting adapting them around data scientists, blockchain, what have you. And at the same time, I encourage those who have been doing what they've been doing for a while to kind of consider some of the certifications available, whether they're in project management, human resources, what have you, to kind of put a boost in their career and do some kind of career shift. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Thanks to my colleagues here, where they explained about the change in the global economy or in the global certified professional needs. I will resume in our country here. I will describe the situation where we are. We are in a very high-speed transformation in the economic part. For the Vision 2030, there is no time to, let's say, find people and give decisions without having a professional certified people. So this is 3 years ago. There is nothing called valuation certified people in Saudi Arabia. What is valuation? What we mean by valuation? Who is qualified to give the price for this hotel? Who is qualified to give the price for this company? Who is qualified to give the price for this business? How much it's worth? This is a very simple definition for the valuation. So 3 years ago, there was nothing called Saudi Authority for Accredited Valuers. The government established this authority to regulate the valuation and in the kingdom. So it's now regulated for the real estate, for the business, for the machinery equipment, for the automobile valuation. Before, when people trying to establish any business, for example, real estate, they open an office for real estate, and then they put as a practice valuation, as a practice. But now, after the new regulation, you have to be licensed to be a valuer because it's moved from practice to a profession. In TAQEEM, now our role is to regulate the valuation, is to put the standard for the valuation, and now we have the international valuation standard as the standard in the kingdom, to put the education program for the certified valuers, and we introduced this program to certify them in different specialists, and then we supervision the professionality of those people practicing in the kingdom. Let's have different examples for what we have today. In real estate, for example, now we have around 800 members certified as a real estate valuers, and they still in the education program since it's take long time for them to be certified. We are promoting students, we are promoting new people joining this profession. Same thing happening with the business valuation. Today in business valuation we have around 48 members where they are not enough to cover the needs in the kingdom here for all the valuation needs, example for the mergers and acquisitions, and also for the capital increase or establishing a new business, including the intangible assets, the goodwill, the trademarks, all these things. We need a qualified people licensed in order to put the valuation or create the report for the valuation. As I explained, we are supporting this profession in the kingdom, supporting the education, supporting the training, because in any profession, it's two lines in parallel, which is the education and the experience. So in order to be certified, you have to be educated and you have to be experienced. Business valuation was practiced by accountants, by engineers, by financial people. But now there is a special program to license the business valuers, where we find the needs now, especially in the small and medium enterprises, where we need to support them to give the decisions either to buy or sell, or to do the mergers, or to create the business itself. So, as I explained, this is a new profession. We encourage everyone to enroll in these programs. There is a big demand, big need for the valuation. With this very high speed transformation now in 2030 vision, we need people to control this transformation, to governance this transformation, make sure, yes, we are doing the right decisions, either to buy or to sell or to do acquisition or for franchising business. Those people are the licensed people who's going to do the valuation. Currently, we did a market study for the real estate, for business valuation, for the machinery equipment. We have the needs, sized the needs in the kingdom around 5,000 real estate valuers to cover the needs for the government, for the country. We found the needs for business valuation around 2,000 certified valuers. We found also the needs for machinery, automobile valuation, around 5,000 valuer to do the automobile valuation. All these numbers, we are still ahead. There is a very short people to cover the needs. I believe the doors is open. Let's enroll in this program. Let's cover the needs. As a government, which is a very unique case in the world, where the government regulates the valuation business in the country, because there is a big need to have this certified people. We are supporting everyone trying to be certified in valuation, especially for the students, where they are coming from different major in the universities. We have some special programs currently with some universities supporting the students to be qualified and enroll in the programs, and also for the females. In our study, we found 40% who is doing currently business valuation are females. So we have special programs for them. It's open. It's especially for the local and Saudis, where we need to have this profession localized in the country.
I'd like to shore on a very important topic, which is making sure that we have the right level of Saudi skilled, ready with the speed of change that is happening in the country. Legislation is being changed, new opportunities are being opened. As Engineer Haytham mentioned, a lot of companies would vanish within the coming 5 years due to the high-speed change. So how can we really adapt to that change, making sure that we have competitive national skilled available to take those opportunities to the next level? I think that is a very important discussion. In addition, there is the initiative that has been going on for quite a number of years with the Saudi Human Resources Development Fund. But I think what we're talking about here today is totally different. It's about how companies can reevaluate their training practices and move from the ad hoc normal training methods that are being driving this function for years and years, and look into more how we can really utilize on international providers, making sure that we have the right level of competencies in Saudi Arabia. We have a young generation. This young generation needs a lot of training, needs to be open to tools that can allow them to accelerate in terms of knowledge. The country has also gone further step with scholarship, but scholarship due to the change in numbers of people going the coming years. So we have to be also smart in terms of finding alternatives for the coming generation that had not had this privilege of going abroad and learning. I think that's a very also touchy point in our discussion. The way we would like is that if you have questions for the panelists, please be free to go ahead, and I'm sure we will have the right level of answers.
Assalamu alaikum and very good morning, and thanks for the panelists for having such a good discussion. My name is Bhavani from NBIS. We are one of the exhibitors here. I know everybody has come here looking for some opportunity as well. My question to the panelists is, there are a lot of budgetary constraints all over the GCC facing everybody, in a tight situation. So what is your take on the budgets that you're going to allocate for such a certified and accredited training programs, which are considered to be, more expensive than the normal education? Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good question about budgets and budget constraints. I think maybe I'd let Engineer Abdullah answer this question. It's a very important question because now within the tight economical situation, how do we change our also adaptation? Engineer Abdullah?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. Actually, the budget improved with the certification. To be exact, we were wasting our money. It's depend. You are putting money and you are waiting for an output. And when we were doing the training before, which is traditional training, kind of a tourist training actually, we were not getting that level of certification, that level of talent and capability and tools, accessibility to tools. The cost right now is a fraction. It's not percentage, a fraction of what we were paying before. And this is figures and facts. I was people development of procurement was part of my responsibility, and it is fraction. And because of that, we opened the certification even further. And we have brought top certified trainers to the organization. And the level of knowledge, the level of capabilities, the speed of skill that we gained is beyond expectation. I am comparing with the traditional training program. And I'm sure, taking that into consideration, we don't care about the budget of training and development of the people. We don't care. Because the output is the most important. The issue here is it in the right place? Is it giving us the real output that we are looking for? Traditional way, wasting our money, wasting our time, and the end output was not really encouraging. And it was diverse. So somebody is getting a training here and getting some information. The other guy is getting another level of education. The other guy, it was diverse and it's not coordinated or standard. With certification program, I am measuring my employees with international level. He compete with any company in the world, and that by itself means a lot of things to us. Even if it costs us even more money, which is not the case, we will go for it because the output is the main goal here, not the money itself or the budget itself. And I'm sure no organization take this easily, the training and development of their people, because they are the one who reach you to the goal, reach you to the vision that you are building. If you don't invest in them, then any other investment is nothing compared to it. I hope I answered your question. And this is from fact. We see the numbers in front of our eyes. Thank you.
Good morning, and a question particularly to the two gentlemen from SABIC and Cisco. I'm Vanessa Hayward. I represent the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales for the Middle East region. And you've both clearly talked about your commitment to professional certifications. I'm interested to understand whether you consider professional certifications to be simply complementary to university education, or whether there's a route for high school leavers in your organizations to come into your organization without a university degree, to take a professional certification program and then go on to management level, or would you still be looking for people with bachelor's degrees or master's degrees to move upwards within your organizations?
At least from an IT perspective, I think we're more now in an innovation-based economy. And innovation-based economies, they don't give a look at what type of degree do you have. It's all about the skill set, all about the capabilities. And while as we've never actually issued a working permits for a high school diploma carrier, most of our workforce is mostly bachelor and above. However, we're very open to the idea because like we mentioned at the beginning, the rate of change currently is all based on innovation. And I don't know about you guys, but my children are probably more innovative than I am. And the younger generation, the youth in this country have a lot of innovation to put on the table, whether that is in the world of digitization or other. I was having a chat with Mr. Abdullah before the session started, and some of the innovation that's going on in SABIC is something to be very proud of, and that's a little bit away from the technology field. Talent is available. If we have 1x talent available in the university realm, I think we have maybe 3 or 4x available in the high school realm. So it's all about how we can foster that innovation and help them develop. So I guess the short answer to your question is we'll love to have somebody straight out of the high school, but it's going to have to be catered in a certain manner, given the commitment we have to our customers. So,
I think the problem, the challenge, is the language. Most of the certification is in English language, and that is a challenge for a high school to participate. So the real barrier here is the language. And I wish that maybe we build a community and some existing non-profit organizations within Saudi Arabia and Arab world, where we translate some of these best practices, but still the language, in order for us to keep up with the tools and the best practices up to date, is a real barrier for the entry. And that's why maybe most suitable is for university graduates for the time being. I wish that we can customize it and give it for a high school, but if it's done, then we need to put it in Arabic language at least.
السلام عليكم. Abdullah حبودة من شركة تقنية الطيران. If I may ask 2 questions, if that's not a lot. So we've said that the professional certification is the solution and the way to closing the gap between university and the job market. Has there been any initiative where we would incorporate these professional certifications in the curriculum of universities? So has there been any collaborative initiatives? That's the first question. The second question, if I may, so professional certification seems to be the answer and for adapting to change, for raising the skills and creating the talents. What are the disadvantages, or do I just go and professionally certify everyone that I have? How do I find this balance between certifying people and also compensating them well to retain them in the company, for example? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think you had 2 good questions. The first part, maybe Sultan, please, you can take.
Yes, for the first part, we have signed the agreement between Saudi Authority for accredited valuers and with the different universities to insert the curriculum and move from training to learning. This is what we are doing now with the Jeddah University, with King Abdulaziz University, and also with King Fahad University. These three universities, we already started to insert our education part needs in their curriculums and in their bachelor degree programs and master degree. In the same time, we are working with them also to provide a training opportunities for the students during the summer breaks and during their free time in order to be close to the market and gain an experience hours for the profession. Once they are completed with this program and graduated, all these hours they spent in the university will be accredited for them within TAQEEM.
Now, for the second part of the question, I think if you go and you look into the Saudi HR Development Fund initiatives, I think they play a good role in terms of best balancing of the needs and closing the gap. The question today, or the challenge today, is how we can take that initiative and let companies in Saudi Arabia start thinking the same way, making HRDF the role model, and also for individuals in Saudi Arabia to also focus on their major, understanding what is the best or highest certification within the major and trying to achieve that major. I think certificates that are accredited internationally are a business card for any individual in Saudi Arabia, for him to find his preference job. Also, I'd like to come back on ICPD, which is international providers that are not fully fledged operating in Saudi Arabia. This is the time. This is the time to be available in the country where there's a high need. You're talking about generation, mostly in the 30s. This is the time where you have to be available in the country, where you cement your footprint, you publicize on who you are, what add value you can play in the coming economic growth. This is the real time to take a decision where to be full-fledged here. And we've seen good role models that have been very successful. And if you go to the College of Excellence, where they have helped a lot of international colleges to come to Saudi Arabia, operate full-fledged, they have been successful. This is their 5th year, highly successful. The turn back in terms of rate of people enrolling in their programs is very high. The waiting list in terms of also revenue is also high. So I think this is the time for those international providers to really find their space within the country and start really adding value to this ongoing revolution of the need of training and certification. I hope that answers the second part of your question.
Hi, my name is Shah Siddiqui and I represent Reed Academy, a social enterprise committed towards sustainable human education. Overall, the purpose is to broaden the human capital and keep it, in a sustained manner. In terms of certification, there is no room here at my end, being a nonprofit, for, having a certification, or more so having an entity certify us. So my question is there a room for social enterprises such as our organization to have, either access to certification or to be a part of societies and organizations which promote professional certification? So my question is, your community or your committee or your society, does it have any room for social organizations who are seeking to promote education and in a nonprofit manner? So is there any room for us or for social enterprises to apply for any affiliation with, organizations like, the professional certification or the societies that promote certification in this knowledge-based economy that the kingdom has chosen to follow?
To answer you, I think as an individual, certification programs, especially the ones that are open to the public, this is open to the public. Anybody who can participate, there is a fee for it. And there is no limitations of accessing, because most of the certification programs are run by non-profit organizations and international organizations. So there is no barrier except the money. Now, another important part of your question is society. And I think 2030 vision have said this very clearly, that this is a country-driven direction that we need to invest on the human capital. And we need to be ready for the next level. When we are going to invest billions and billions and trillions of riyals in the coming few years, it requires competent people to do so. And just relying on graduates from schools, and unfortunately, I'm fortunate to say that most of the graduates, they are studying something right now for a work or job that is not related in the future. They don't have any information about their job in the future. This is a known fact. 7 million jobs by 2020 will be obsolete. 7 million. This is a World Economy report just recently. 7 million jobs will be obsolete because of the changes in the economy and the changes around the world because of technology. That 7 million is a big figure, and we need to be careful about it. And in order for us to really be ready as a society, the government and all the functions and agencies of the government and non-government, private and public sector, need to drive the mindset toward international level certification programs or international level development programs, regardless of whether we call it certification or we don't call it certification. It has to be international level. I hope I answered your question.
And if I may add, and just tying the last two questions together, and let me speak from Cisco's perspective, the Cisco Networking Academy is being embedded in many of the training curriculums around the country. We have a very successful story with TPTC and other institutes as well. And the reason why this is easy and very important for us, it's part of the corporate social responsibility of the company. So it's actually done free of charge. Material is being made available to our students, updated, the labs, what have you, at no cost, as part of Cisco's responsibility, either globally or in the country. And part of what we've done was also to Arabize the content in many of the courses as part of the investment in the country. So maybe that kind of also adds some light to your question.
All right, thank you very much for our distinguished panelists. Thank you for your passion to share the knowledge. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much.